Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Julie Harrelson.
That was fantastic. That's the best introduction I've had since I started volunteering to MC Pubtalk. Thank you all for coming. We've got a big crowd tonight. Couple of things. We've got a really tight agenda with lots of rich content. We'll be starting on time, we'll be ending on time, and I'll be repeating the questions for the benefit of the people that are in the theater in the cushy chairs with the giant screen. I think my head's like 6 feet high. Can you see me? Hello. And the people that hang out in the room where all the food is and talk during the entire presentation. So you've got your choice of venue here, okay? So I wanted to welcome you all and thank our sponsors. Who are our three title sponsors? Columbia Bank, Carnot Peterson, and Zolo Media. Thank you. Supporting sponsors, Jones & Roth CPAs, COCC Small Business Development Center, Ben Broadband, Central Oregon Realtors Association, COAR, and OSU Cascades. And special thanks to you, OSU Iterate participants that are in attendance tonight. OSU Iterate is a entrepreneurial program out of OSU. I'm actually on the board of the Advantage Accelerator there, where there are several programs, and the Iterate program is this very early stage for people that are launching new ideas. And now I'd like to introduce Corey Allen from Columbia Bank. Corey?
Appreciate that. Even a little extra shout out testing you guys on who the title sponsors are. That's very nice. Like Julie mentioned, I'm Corey with Columbia Bank. I'm the manager of the commercial banking group. We help businesses finance business ventures, purchases, real estate, term loans, lines of credit, all that fun stuff. I'm going to keep this very short. I think that was a hint when Julie said we're going to keep things on time for the sponsorship talk. So I just want to say, one thing that we're very passionate about, I believe we're very passionate about the bank, is obviously helping businesses achieve their goals and trying to work outside the box and structuring things. And actually, I promise I'm not making this up. This isn't a BS story. Had a 4 o'clock meeting before this. We were meeting with a customer and talking about some things, some future expansions they were doing. And we were buying the beers, but I don't think that's why he said this, but he just said at the end of the meeting, he just said, hey, I really appreciate what you guys did and kind of stepped up and helped me out when I felt like I wasn't getting when I needed it from my bank. And just, it really felt good to hear that. And we live here, we work here, we're passionate about helping people. Obviously, we can't do everything for everyone, but we are always willing to take the time to look at a structure, look outside the box, see if something makes sense, and see if we can't get something done for someone to help them out. So if you have any questions, general questions about the market, structure, terms, all that fun stuff, please seek one of us out. There's a few of us here tonight, a couple of our different loan officers, always willing to talk and chat. We don't charge by the hour like some of our other counterparts in the financial industry. But anyway, thank you very much. You guys enjoy the night.
Thanks, Corey. Appreciate it. And now I'd like to introduce Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson. Kurt?
Hi, everybody. Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson. I'm an employment law and intellectual property practitioner. We're still 17 lawyers going strong and thrilled to be helping out with Pubtalk. We love this event. I will be really quick and give away this bottle. So remember last month, or I guess it was in Redmond, that I kind of nerded out on you all. I was very excited about 2 legal changes. We got federal trade secret law for the first time in the US, and I said, I think a huge salary basis change is coming, that the Department of Labor, start your Google fingers now if you want, okay? Department of Labor was gonna double, more than double, the minimum basis for a bona fide salary exempt from overtime. That did happen. They announced the effective date for the regs. And just to be clear, because I know the excitement's going to happen in just a second, the current minimum salary you have to pay someone if they're truly exempt from overtime, about $23K a year, and that's more than doubling to almost 47 something, 47 and a half. So what date does that sea change take effect? Ooh. Oh, you are 14 days off, someone said, yeah, exactly. Sorry, Gary. I saw your hand first. Thank you, everybody. Answer was December 1. As of December 1 of this year, those rules are in effect.
Okay. If they guess within, Kurt, if they guess within 2 weeks, do they get a box of straws? Okay, fantastic. So see Kurt later. Okay, I'd like to now introduce Michelle O'Hara from Zolo Media. Michelle?
Hello. So I have 3 prizes, not to outdo everyone, but I have 3 prizes, and we have some questions that we're going to ask the crowd. So Zolo Media launched a new program recently called Central Oregon Daily. It was a really hard, name to come up with. We had to be really creative with it. Last month you met Curtis Vogel, who's our producer. He came in from, he was the West Coast producer of the Today Show, so an amazing talent that we brought on board. The show is going very, very well. We've been on 3.5 weeks. We're on in the evening, and I'll do a bunch of promo stuff as I talk, but let's talk about the show. The show, for those of you who don't watch TV, except for like all the NBA games and everything else, but the show is also online at zolomedia.com, and we push it out on Facebook, the stories, every single day, so there's no excuse for you not to see one of the show or the segment. So I have 3 questions. The first one is, each day of the week we offer what we call a franchise segment, and that is really focusing in on longer stories of things that people really want to know about in Central Oregon. So the first night, on Monday night, we do war stories. Tuesday night we do supper club. Wednesday night we have Pamela come in from Cascade Business News and talk to you about business news. Thursday we do Destination Oregon, and Friday we do Source on the Scene, which is kind of like a story, in-depth story of something happening with the Ben source. So the question is, which segment tells personal stories of one in 7 Central Oregonians? War stories, supper club, Destination Oregon, or Source on the Scene? Wrong. Who has the next guess? War stories. So in fact, what we found was really interesting is 1 in 7 adults in Central Oregon have served in some sort of service in the war. So the war stories segment is just amazing, and it's deep, it's touching, I think I cry every time I watch one of them. Second question is, each week on Supper Club, we sit down with newsmakers, influencers, and just really cool people here. And we talk about the things that are relevant to Central Oregon, kind of the things that are happening that week. So this last week, we invited a guest who happens to be here, who's highly involved in the Ben tech ecosystem, and he also owns a company that did our website, zolomedia.com. Who is that person who... Okay, who's over here? And by the way, we have prizes. We have prizes in the other room too. Karina's handing them out, so hopefully someone in the other room got Preston's name. And he's right there, zolomedia.com. Okay, and the third question is, we put 3 or 4 stories every single day on our website and then push out through social media. So the question is, which of these stories received the most views and shares? The first one is A Second Chance, life-changing surgery for a dog rescued from a meat farm in South Korea. B is Destination Oregon, where we go and visit places every single week. This week we went to Hot Springs Lake. C, Wolves Among Us, a 3-part series on wolves that live in Central Oregon. Or 4, Crash Survivors, a story about Republican candidate Bud Pierce, who stopped and helped rescue some people who were in an accident. And this was the night before the primary. So A, the story about the dog. B, Destination Oregon. C, Wolves Among Us. Or D, Crash Survivors. B, amazingly, it's Destination Oregon, so nobody got that one. Hot Springs Lake, we seriously had 61,000 people that viewed it, and we received 10,000 clicks, 3,000 reactions and comments. Who would have known? This is a place in Joseph, Oregon. So thanks for watching. Tune in. There's some amazing stories. They're all done on video, and you can see it at centraloregondaily.com every single day. Right now, you could actually go and see these stories. So, okay, thanks.
Here, let me get a selfie. Got to get my media moment with the media. Okay, I told you people, I've told you several times now, I'm not sure, maybe I'm not funny, but I'm not sure, maybe I'm not funny, but I've heard, now I've said this to you before, but I've heard that it's really hard to tell if I'm making a joke. So if I make a joke and I don't hear you laugh, I'll raise my hand and then you can laugh. Okay, now on to some other important people. So, you know, these events are hugely complex. I volunteer as a member of the EDCO board to MC, and we have our important title sponsors, our supporting sponsors who we've heard from, and the foundation for this work is really the EDCO staff, so I wanted to acknowledge them tonight, and those that are here. So if you would stand and stay standing until I'm done, and we'll do a round of applause at the end. So Aaron Chiat, Operations Manager, Brian Vieira, Venture Catalyst, Natalie Dent, Marketing and Communications Manager, Janet Burton, Lapine Area Manager, Tom Rowley, Ben Manager, Aaron Riley, Membership and Events, Caprielle Lewis, Sisters Manager, and last but not least, EDCO's Executive Director, Roger Lee. And I wanted to just thank all of you for your hard work in making this happen. If you want to know more about EDCO, or if you want to know more about economic development in EDCO in any one of those specific geographic areas, see these people. They're really cool and been incredibly helpful as we have gotten Cascade Angels off the ground the last couple of years. And I'd like to welcome, let's do a round of applause, and I'd like to welcome Roger Lee up.
I think you're funny. I have a weird sense of humor, though, so I don't know what that says. So good evening. Thanks for making Pub Talk part of your week. It's lots of things you could be doing tonight, but you chose to be here, so thanks for doing that. And so nearly a year ago, with financial support from the City of Bend and the Maybelle Clark McDonald Foundation, EDCO launched a 12-month key industry program to provide specific help to support the tech industry, bioscience, specialty food products, and outdoor gear and apparel. That program was slated to sunset this August, but the Technology Association of Oregon, otherwise known as TAO, and a follow-on investment from the City of Bend through BDAB has extended the program for another year and quite possibly longer with a partnership with TAO. Key Industry Coordinator Matt Sybrant formed a partnership with TAO that was formalized just this last week. So I just want a little bit of information for you on that. We're excited that Matt will have the opportunity to continue the progress he's made with a lot of other volunteers in this effort over the past year, but probably not nearly as excited as the volunteers themselves have been keeping him very busy. So next on the list, Brian Vieira. Everybody know Brian? Is anybody who's not met Brian yet? So he's back there. He never gets up on stage, but he's moving all the pieces and parts to make this stuff happen, along with the rest of our team here. But he has a restless soul. So it probably should not come as a surprise that EDCO's Venture Catalyst is working on something new for BVC 2016, a social impact track. So what is that, you might ask? It's companies like Sudara, who you're going to hear from more tonight, that while committed to building profitable companies, have a bigger mission in mind, to change the world for the better. Brian's in the process of creating a new fund for the BVC that would invest only in social entrepreneurs. It would be among the first of its kind in the country to be combined with an angel investment conference. So stay tuned for more details. I'd also like to give a shout out. Yeah, that's nice work, Brian. I'd also like to give a shout out to our Lapine Sun River manager, Janet Burton, for quarterbacking an enterprise zone expansion to include parts of Sun River that have never been included in this incentive program within our region. It's all but approved, officially approved, but I got a little note from the person who approves these, which doesn't give out compliments very often at all. Said it was the best stuff he'd ever seen as far as putting that all together. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Janet, and hope that'll help companies. Hopefully that'll help companies like Sun River Brewing. Hopefully someday we'll actually have a pub talk down there. And last but not least, we're pleased to welcome a new member to the EDCO team for the summer and fall, intern David Haynes. I don't know if David's in the room here. Oh, he's right in the back there, he's hanging out with Brian. So David, David is within the month of graduating from OSU Cascades with a business administration degree. So he's in your senior year, and some of you may have had a chance to meet David at last month's Pub Talk up in Redmond when he had just signed on with EDCO. He's a Bend High graduate and is particularly interested in helping Central Oregon develop a more robust internship program, both for college and high school students, a passion that we happen to both share. So excited to have David aboard, and now on with the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Very much appreciate your leadership and hard work. So in our opening here, we also like to acknowledge our new members. So a couple new members, Eager Law, PC, and Denise Bestwick. Thank you for joining. So sponsors, staff, members, participants, here we go. And I always like to launch these segments with a story. So I'm going to tell you a story about a recent trip I took. I went to Philadelphia. Kind of. I went to Philadelphia. I was invited by the Angel Capital Association to present at the International Summit, and I was presenting on best practices in building and sustaining angel funds and groups. So I got in late one evening, and I put my wallet and my computer in the safe because I went out for a walk, and I just thought, I'm in a big city, I'm going to put my stuff in the safe, so I put it in the safe. And the next morning I went to the gym and I worked out and I ordered some breakfast and ate my breakfast, and then I was going to get my computer out to prepare for my presentation. It wouldn't open. And I was in my gym clothes and my hair was standing on end. So I called the front desk and I said, my safe won't open. So they sent up an engineer, and he had a device, and he connected it to the computer, and he said, it's not working. I'm like, oh, well, I have a presentation in about 45 minutes, and I can't do it in my gym clothes, and I can't do it without my computer, so what do you suggest? Well, I'm going to call, this is a security guy with a big badge, I'm going to call an engineer. So he calls the engineer, because the engineer has a different cord he can attach to the device. Like, okay. So the engineer comes up, so we got a guy with a badge, and the engineer presses these buttons, and nothing happens. So I'm like, what are we going to do? We're going to have to break it open. So they close the door and they leave, and I'm sitting in there, and suddenly this huge guy busts into my room with a big crowbar. And he's like, oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you were in here. And I said, yeah, well, I'm waiting to get my computer. So it's a security guy and a guy with a hammer and a crowbar, and he says, I'm going to fix this for you, ma'am. So they start pounding on it, and the guy goes, don't have a big enough hammer. So now I've got this 6'5" guy out in the hallway guarding my room, like this. And the guy goes down, he gets a gigantic hammer, and he comes in, he just pounds the heck out of the safe, and it finally pops open. And like, it's 10 minutes before I have to be over to do this presentation, but I was going to arrive a little bit early, so I had like 25 minutes. So quickly I get ready, I got my computer, and I go over and I'm like, what just happened? And I realized I had the entrepreneurial experience. You know, I was thinking, I don't have the right tools, I don't have enough time, I'm not ready, I gotta get up in a bunch of people and talk like I know what I mean, and I'm completely discombobulated, and a guy just ran in my room and I thought he was gonna hit me with a crowbar. And you can see where that metaphor goes, right? So the moral of the story is sometimes it takes more than one person to accomplish a task. Mostly you have to have the right tool, but if you don't have the right tool all the time, you might just need to put more effort into it. And I think that's a great entrepreneurial teaching story. So with that, I'll launch our evening. And Roger talked about the social impact lane in the BVC this year, which I'm really excited about. And I'm very pleased to introduce Shannon Keith. And Shannon, would you make your way up here as I introduce you? So we talk about making money and making a difference as part of social impact. And Shannon is a great leader in this regard. She's really set a wonderful tone with her business. She's a CEO and founder of Sudara and a Pubtalk alum under the former business name International Princess Project. We hear that more than just the name has changed, so give us the update.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks. I love that story. I'm going to remember that story. That's definitely been my experience and will probably continue to be. So thank you, EDCO, for having me. I absolutely love EDCO and what they provide for our community, right? Just amazing resources. And this event in particular is fantastic because there's just such good energy in the room. When you get a lot of smart, motivated, passionate people together, there's just something just like exhilarating that happens. And so I'm really just honored to be part of tonight. I only have like 3 to 5 minutes, and I don't want Julie to pull out the cane here or anything, so I'll just sort of cut to the chase. But International Princess Project was our former name, and at the time, IPP for short, was a nonprofit. And so I actually did the fast pitch for this Pubtalk in 2014. And so now I just get the privilege of sort of telling you what's happened in those last 2 years. So at that time, it was like, we're a nonprofit, and this is what I want to do, and we're going to turn it into a business. And some people are like, well, that's cute. Isn't that sweet of you to be so sort of Pollyanna? And the whole time I was like, no, we're a real business and you need to take me seriously and let me put on my business voice if you don't, sort of a thing. And so what we set out to do, we are actually doing and we're accomplishing, and it's really great. And for those of you who don't know, what Sudara is or what I'm talking about, we are a social enterprise, and that means, like Julie alluded to, is that we think it is equally important to do good business and be profitable and also do good at the same time. And those are no longer mutually exclusive ideas. And for many business owners, of course, it's completely fantastic to create stable jobs in our communities, and we all want to do that. But for those of us specifically in the products department, as we have sort of started manufacturing things in other countries and it's no longer maybe under our control and the almighty dollar is speaking, we've seen a lot of atrocities around international manufacturing, a lot of social injustices happening. And for me, so we are an online company that basically makes pajamas and loungewear. And I started out not being super passionate about pajamas and loungewear, though I love them. I started out wanting to use business to solve a social issue, and that was helping women transition out of sex slavery in India. It was born out of a trip that I went on, and so at the time when I started it was like, you want to help people, you have to be a nonprofit, yada, yada. So when I did the fast pitch here at Pubtalk in 2014, I was all about, this is what I want to do, and these are my plans, and we are going to spin the business off, and we're going to rebrand, and we're going to act like a real business, and we're going to have rocket growth and all of this kind of stuff. So I'm really happy to report in 2014, as a nonprofit, we did about $500,000 in revenue sales, rebranded in 2015, started putting sort of ideas and getting traction, and we had 5x growth. We did 2.5 million in 2015, which is really exciting. Thank you. Not without a lot of hiccups and bumps along the way and bruises, and I'm glad I'm still here. My head's attached. But the great moral of the story is that it's showing that the marketplace is resonating with social business. And there is huge market potential which for me is super exciting as an entrepreneur, just in and of itself, but it's doubly exciting because that means impact metrics for me. That means we get to drive product that is beautiful and lovely and the market wants, and we get to employ women who would otherwise have no other options than selling their bodies for sex night after night to feed themselves and their children. Like, that's not a good option for people. And so we can use business to actually make a deep impact in that particular space. And then our goal is to be sort of a beacon and a lighthouse to other businesses that say we can do this in a really robust way and we can make a big splash. We don't have to sort of be in the corner, as a cute nonprofit idea. We can actually take a stand as a business. And so I'm really excited. One of the most important things, and I'll sort of end with this, is when I started the nonprofit, it was when I was living in California. And now, I've been living in Bend for some time, but we just moved our headquarters to Bend in March. So super excited to have Sudara as an Oregon company. And we are a registered benefit corporation, so we're a B Corp here. I'm so excited. The community has really embraced us. We're in this June edition of Glamour magazine, which is super great, and we're so excited about that. And then also the Bend Fashion Quarterly did a really great spread on us. They'll be out, and you can pick them up on your way out. But our flagship store here in Bend is Brave Collective. It's a boutique right on the west side, so go in there, check it out. They're a fantastic boutique, super cute. And then you can buy things online as well. So thanks for having us. Thanks for being a really supportive, lovely community where Sudara can call home.
Thanks so much, Shannon. Really appreciate your energy and focus on making that happen. So now I'd like to introduce our first pitching company, DohJe, a gratitude platform for the healthcare industry. And I've had a chance to get to know Amanda Krantz over the last few months. She's new to Pubtalk and newer to Bend, but not new to doing really cool stuff. She's a post-Air Force captain, touring rock star. She's had stints at AOL and other big names, and she found herself wanting to give her caregivers thanks after childbirth, and that's how DohJe was born. I'll leave it to you to give us some more background on that. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm not as funny as Julie, so if my hands go up, it's not a joke. I just talk with my hands. So raise your hand if you or someone you love has been in the hospital, assisted living, or home care. Okay, pretty much all of us. I assume the other room, raising hands. So I was a patient, and I wanted to thank an amazing nurse who stood by my side for 12 hours. But I didn't think about how grateful I was until after I got home. And then the challenge of tracking her down became a barrier to expressing my gratitude. But I finally did find her 8 months later, and that conversation revealed 2 problems that I set off to solve. The first problem is that many patients are like me. They need an easier way to say thank you. Most hospitals have paper cards like these. This one's from UCSF, and this one's Sutter Health. Patients don't want to fill out paper cards. Some do, and when they do, it actually creates a lot of work for the hospitals to manage, and for the people who fill it out, you have no idea if your gratitude was even received. So the second problem is even bigger. My cards are stuck to that's the big problem. So the second problem is even bigger. That turnover and absenteeism cost healthcare facilities millions of dollars. The turnover rate for new nurses is 30% the first year, and that goes up to 57% of nurses leave by the second year. The total cost of turnover for an average hospital is $4.9 to $7.6 million. A 3% change in turnover will cost or save the average hospital $1 million. It's a lot of money. So to solve these 2 problems, we built an online gratitude platform for healthcare. And today is the first day we have this banner, so you guys are the first people to see it. If you have any feedback, let me know. We're going to take it to trade shows, so I'm glad you guys gave me a reason as a startup. Get this done now. So what's the value of DohJe to our customers? Our customers are the hospitals, the healthcare facilities. And for our customers, we raise the morale of their staff, which lowers turnover and absenteeism and saves them money, and it improves patient satisfaction. And patient satisfaction is really important right now because changes in healthcare laws now tie patient satisfaction, or now tie billions of dollars in reimbursements to patient satisfaction. So now I'm going to tell you a story. This one's not about me. It's about a woman named Madeline. And Madeline's mom, her 70-year-old mom, was hit by a truck, and she survived. She was in the ICU, though, 2 years ago. And Madeline really wanted to thank the staff that not only took care of her, but also took care of her mom, but also her entire family. And then she heard about DohJe, and she sent the most amazing, heartfelt message and attached a photo of her mom walking down the aisle at her granddaughter's wedding. And it made such an impact on her that then she tweeted about DohJe to her 32,000 followers. And investors always say, how are people going to hear about this? But when people can share gratitude, it touches them so deeply they want to talk about it. And then the ICU staff, who never hear how people are doing, they got so excited they actually called Madeline on the phone and thanked her for the gratitude, and it just kept on going and going. So for people like Madeline, how do we make it easy for them to actually share their gratitude? So you go to dohje.com and you select the facility where you are at. And then there's a big list of people. It's not like the hospitals where you go and you have to hunt around. It's more like Amazon or Etsy. You show up and there's this big list. You can filter by department. You can filter by their role that they have, a nurse, a doctor, a therapist. We cover everybody. It's not just for doctors and nurses. And you can search by name. But often you don't even remember a name. So we go in and we take photos of the staff. And that way, if you see a picture, you can remember them by their face. But we were told originally that nurses and other healthcare workers besides doctors would never put their photos online. Why? I don't come from healthcare. Like, people are online everywhere. Why wouldn't they? So we had an hypothesis that if we took a great photo, they'd be much more likely to put it online. And it turns out we were right. So to gain credibility in the market, we first started with the big hospitals. UCSF, Benioff Children's Hospital in San Francisco, was our first big pilot, and it was a huge success. We now have 6 customers, including a community hospital in Colorado, and we just launched with our first senior care facility. And we're now partnering with a Harvard Business School professor to study the effect of using DohJe on turnover, absenteeism, and patient satisfaction, because everybody inherently gets that what we're doing is great. We're the first people really doing this, but more data just helps our champions sell it better internally. But we've seen, so far in the first 6 months of the study, we've seen a 15% reduction in sick leave, which saves a ton of money, and 10 times the amount of gratitude shared over existing systems. And one of the reasons that we've heard from the staff of why they're using DohJe so much is they just love it. Most healthcare vendors, they don't actually listen to nurses and build something that makes sense for them. So DohJe is fast, it's easy, it doesn't take them a lot of time. Nurses don't sit in front of a computer all day. And so we're really unique in that we've built it with their input from the very beginning. So we have a 61% participation rate, which is much higher than the traditional recognition systems, which see a 53% participation rate. And the cool part to me is DohJe is now a verb. So when I walked into UCSF, they said, oh man, I saw you and I need a DohJe her. And then it's a noun. Wow, I got my first DohJe. And then I even became the DohJe lady. So I was pretty excited about that. Hey, I did tell a joke. Thanks, you inspired me. Okay, but it's not a business unless you can make money. And similar to Shannon, we were like, well, we're trying to do good in the world. Should we be a nonprofit? But early on, I called a few of my friends who run big nonprofits, and they said, it's just a business model. Like, you're selling a product that creates value for your customers, so don't be a nonprofit, have the heart of a nonprofit. So we sell DohJe to healthcare facilities, and our business model is software as a service. And our customers pay a monthly or yearly subscription on a tiered pricing model, so depending on the size of the organization. And so small facilities can start for as little as $50 a month. And then the military health system, I was in the Air Force, it's government, so we're like, just put a couple zeros on it, and there we are. So how big is the market for recognition in healthcare? It's huge. If you consider that there's 18 million healthcare workers earning an annual mean wage of $49,000, and then you look at companies most commonly allocate 1% of payroll budgets to retention programs. So 1% of payroll for healthcare corresponds to a $9 billion market for recognition. So if we can get just 3% of that $9 billion market, that's a $270 million business. Why do I think I can create a $270 million business for a gratitude company? If you look at Press Ganey, if any of you have ever gotten paper satisfaction surveys, they're probably by Press Ganey. They IPO'd last year, and they're worth $1.2 billion, and I'm glad they IPO'd because I could look at their financials, and they had $270 million in revenue in 2014. So it's a big business. So I have an MBA from Harvard Business School, and I should know better. Healthcare sales are hard. I also have a great sales advisor who sold multi-million-dollar deals to healthcare systems, and selling a gratitude platform to healthcare is not exactly the easiest business to build, but it's something that makes a big difference, and I'm lucky that changes in healthcare over the 3 years that we've been doing this has made it a really viable market. And I just wanted to do it. I've done a lot of other things in my life, and this one matters to me. And in the last year, we keep seeing more and more new competitors entering the market. People like the Disney Institute coming in, talking about customer experience. They're teaching patient experience. You've got people like Medallia who've done customer engagement. So all these people are starting to see a market. And I really think that competition is good. It validates the size of the market, and I'm used to competition. So I went to the Air Force Academy, and I was also an NCAA tennis player, NCAA All-American, and I like competing, and I think we can actually win. And I have a great team to help me do that. I've got 2 awesome co-founders, and we moved the company to Bend in December. And I'm happy to be here, and I have 2 great new teammates who are sitting in front. If you guys want to wave, I've got Daniel Stadigal, is a great full-stack developer. And Mata Smith comes to us from 14 years of experience in IT at Schwab, and she's been helping us out with sales and marketing materials right now. So if you want, find them. And James Jarrett is our awesome sales advisor right here. So what's next? Now that we've proven success with our initial customers, over the next 12 months, we plan to accelerate our sales. And we have a strong sales pipeline, including the University of Michigan Health System, Planned Parenthood, which just called us today, so I'm fired up about that. And we have about 30 community hospitals and senior care facilities also that we've been talking to for a while. And I'm really excited to say that we've got our first Bend facility, Touchmark, is planning to launch later this summer. Thank you. And I hear there's a few people from St. Charles here, but I met with an awesome person from St. Charles yesterday who said I can at least say that we were in discussions with them, and we're very excited. Hopefully that moves forward with St. Charles. And is that my timer, or is that someone saying hi? Am I done? I'll wrap it up. So eventually our big vision is that DohJe can become the way that you can thank people for great service across industries. But right now we are focused on healthcare. And if you want to help us, there are 2 things you can do. One, if there's someone you've been meaning to thank, you can thank them right now at dohje.com. Even if they're not a customer, you can thank anybody and we'll deliver the gratitude for you. And the second thing is if you know anybody who is a decision maker at a hospital, surgery center, or senior care facility, come talk to me or send me an email at amanda@dohje.com. Thank you.
Nice job. So stay up here. So we're gonna have a little bit of Q&A. And
Okay.
I'm gonna repeat the questions. Okay. So questions for Amanda? Yes, Wendy. Why did you move DohJe to Bend?
Great question. So we came to Bend 8 years ago for a friend's wedding. And met some other great people in the community. Have been coming back for vacation, like probably some other people here, and we're trying to figure out how we could get here. And then when I was raising money, we raised a seed round down in Silicon Valley, and we were adding more people. And Dino Vendetti, I don't know if he's here for 7 Peaks, we had pitched him when I was at a previous startup. And so I remember he was a nice guy, so I emailed him, and he wrote back and said, the Bend Venture Conference is coming on in October. This was September. He's like, come on out, you get a sense of the community. And so when I had been here 3 years ago thinking of coming, this did not exist. And now it is. And I called my husband and said, like, let's go now. And so our kids didn't quite realize we were going to leave in December and showed up here. But yeah, so it's just a great place to be. I can find developers. People are excited to be here. And the last thing really, I think, just the energy, you talked about the energy being here. It's really about people building companies that they believe in and they're trying to make a difference. It's not just the next big messaging app and who can make the most money. And it's where I think I fit.
Nice said. Well said. Other questions for Amanda? What's DohJe? What does it mean?
So DohJe is a phonetic spelling for thank you in Cantonese. So we originally think a caregiver, think someone, I'm a very direct, like think a nurse, think a teacher. We thought it could be for education, but there's a lot of different thank you sites. And so we went through all the languages and DohJe was available. We have varying spellings of it, and I thought it would never work, but like I said, it's become a verb and it's kind of sticking. And so, yeah, now we're DohJe.
Is there a question from the other room? No, it's my question. Yes? Are there other tracks for the business, other applications for DohJe?
Thank you, Erin. So that's Erin with EDCO. Also, I appreciate EDCO. They let me practice on them a bit. And before I answer your question, I should thank also Stackhouse. So I work at the Ben Tech co-working space, and I made a bunch of people listen to me there, including Kelly and Jared, who works at the coffee bar, who gave me great feedback. And it's a great community, so thank you, everybody. So what we can do with this. So healthcare workers really are not on LinkedIn and other career tools. So one application similar to LinkedIn, create a network where everyone who wants to be, and eventually you can leverage that in different ways. One of those ways is a career tool. So right now when nurse recruiters try to get a nurse a job, they say they have 10 years experience, 20 years experience. But with DohJe, they could say, look at the impact they made on their patients' experience, look at the impact they made on their teammates' experience, and look what their supervisors are saying. So eventually that career tool is really important. And then I also mentioned at some point way down the road, there is the ability to take this outside of healthcare. But right now there's a lot of noise. There's other companies like Achievers.com that does real-time peer-to-peer gratitude. But it's very gamified, it's points-based, and so we're doing really genuine, authentic gratitude, and I think there'll be a place for that later, but healthcare is where we're focused to start.
Yes? Do you work with hospice organizations? Do you work with hospice organizations too?
Not yet, but we would love to. So if you know of any, I'd love to talk to you.
One last question here, yeah?
I was going to ask, I know that most people's intentions are all good and wonderful, but similar to Yelp, when people leave negative stuff, is there anything on that format that kind of blocks them from doing that, hopefully?
So most people's intentions are wonderful, but like on a platform like Yelp, sometimes you get negative comments. Is there a method for managing that?
Great question. So we're also talking to Kaiser San Francisco, and their HR department was very concerned about that. So we actually added a feature into our system. We've not seen any negative comments, and one of the reasons is it's not like Yelp. There's not a public piece of it. So someone has to be very angry to go and yell directly at somebody. They don't get the same kind of gratification as putting it up on a wall. So first of all, I don't think we would see as much of it. But as we get bigger, as Kaiser HR pointed out, we will see it. So the way we handle it is similar to a spam button. There's a little yellow circle that the people who receive the gratitude they see it on there, and it says this is not gratitude. When they click it, it takes it out of what we call their gratitude locker, which is similar to an inbox, and it routes it to whoever at the hospital normally handles complaints. So we looked at filtering it and removing it, but for most hospitals, they have plenty of mechanisms for handling complaints, and they would rather us just route it to the right place. So that's how we do it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good job. Yeah. Great job, Amanda. Thank you. I think Amanda's business moving here is a great example of our strong ecosystem here, right? We have co-working spaces, we have access to expertise, we have funding, we have smart people to network with, and this area is really becoming a magnet for startups and lots of momentum, lots of energy towards that. So thank you, Amanda. Yeah. So now I'd like to introduce Austin Britts, co-founder of Zealios, a line of tough skincare products made for athletes that want really good stuff that works as hard as they do.
Is it okay if I take this off? I like to wander. Okay, great. Hi, I would really like to thank EDCO again for having us here. We're so excited to share our story with you guys. We're also fairly new to town, and Brian and Aaron for listening to us has been just very patient and helpful, so thank you so much. My name is Austin Britts. I'm here with my co-founder, Kevin Fuller, and together we founded a company called Zealios. And at Zealios, we make high-performance personal care products for endurance athletes. And what does that mean? Our product set now includes a high-performance zinc-based sunscreen. We have shampoo, conditioner, and body wash that helps take out chlorine, a deep hydrating body lotion that helps your skin recover from long hours out in the sun, and an all-natural anti-chafing cream. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our story because it's a little unorthodox. We didn't really see a gigantic hole in the market and then bravely pioneer a product to fix it. We started with a great product and then just stumbled completely blindly until we found the right market to sell it into. And Kevin and I actually met playing rugby together at the University of Washington, and our career paths followed similar trajectories. We both started trading commodities, and we sold a lot of the ingredients that go into these products by the truckload and boatload. So we don't actually come from the personal care industry, but we actually have a lot of familiarity and industry experience with, up the supply chain quite a bit. And a few years ago, we had a customer come to us who was a mentor and a friend, who said, look, I think I have what I think is the perfect sunscreen formula. He had 3 kids in college, he had a lot on his plate, and he asked if we wanted to team up and help him out, bring it to the market. So it sounded fun. We wanted to get out of the commodity industry. We were pretty excited about it, so we quickly gathered some samples, and we sent some samples to one of our advisors, another friend of ours who was a melanoma survivor. And the very next day, this person called us and said, look, I don't know if you're looking for money, but I would like to invest. Those are great words to hear. But it turned out it was the first sunscreen he could use that didn't irritate his skin. And the more we played with the formula, we realized not only was it a great product for people who have sensitive skin, it was the perfect product for athletes. And we do need to talk about sunscreen in Central Oregon. Oregon is the 5th highest in the United States when it comes to skin cancer rates. And Deschutes County just moved into the #1 spot within Oregon. And I just want to see a quick show of hands. Anybody here who has any experience with skin cancer or know anybody who's been affected by skin cancer? Yeah. It's the fastest growing form of cancer in the United States. I also would like to see a show of hands of who here religiously wears sunscreen. Oh, that's good. And also, who here has had a bad experience with sunscreen at some point or other, where it gets in your eyes, feels gross, it's disgusting? Yeah. You're not alone, right? So sunscreen has tremendous consumer pushback, and also is very confusing for consumers. So I'm going to give you a quick crash course in sunscreen ingredients, so try to stay awake here. The 2 things you need to worry about when it comes to evaluating sunscreen ingredients is 1, how much of the UVA, UVB spectrum does a product block? And 2 is photostability. How long does it stand up over time? Now, the undisputed champ among sunscreens is zinc oxide because it's the best of both. It blocks 98% of UVA, UVB radiation, and it also is the most photostable. It goes from 98% to 92% in an hour. For comparison, avobenzone, the most commonly used product for broad spectrum protection, goes from 92 to the low 50s in an hour. So this is our solution. This is a zinc-based sunscreen that dries completely clear. It's oil-free, so it feels like a light lotion on your skin. It's got the FDA's highest water resistance rating without oil in it, and it won't sting your eyes. So we had a great product. And true to our rugby player form, we came blasting out of the gates trying to sell it to anybody who would listen to us. We went to swim meets, we went to bike races, we went to a synchronized swimming event hosted by a group called the Aqua Nuts. And I have to admit, I have the utmost respect for those athletes because that sport is tough. But you do find yourself doing some soul searching when you're on a pool deck on a Saturday night in your mid-30s trying to sell a $15 tube of sunscreen to 12-year-old synchronized swimmers. Yeah, it was tough. That time was fantastic, though, because we spent so much time talking to people and really kind of getting consumer feedback and listening to what people's problems were. And we heard one thing come over and over and over again. People said, look, we love your sunscreen. It's amazing. Please make products that help my kids' skin and hair with chlorine. We heard it once, we dismissed it. We heard it twice, we dismissed it. 25 times later, we're like, okay, there might be something here. So we spent some time in the lab. We spent about 3 months developing these products until we had something that we were really satisfied with. And about 18 months ago, we brought these products to the market right before Christmas. And we noticed 2 things as we were trying to position these products in the market that other people in the category had missed. 1, the products just didn't work the way they needed to, straight up. 2, the branding was off. So they'd either positioned it as being an organic product or a little too campy. It didn't really appeal to athletes. And two, that it was a subset of another category. So think about Copper Tone Sport or Banana Boat Sport. So we brought these to the market with this in mind, and we launched it, and we nearly sold out of our first round in the first 30 days. Super validating. And what we realize is that we exist in between two gigantic markets, right? We have the endurance market on one side, and we have personal care on the other. In US alone, sunscreen is a $2 billion market, and it obviously gets way bigger as you start to include shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. Endurance athletics, 62 million people in the United States will run, bike, or swim once a week in the United States this year. It's amazing. So we obviously needed to whittle this market down because we're a personal care company coming out, trying to wave our hands, getting attention. What we decided to do, we narrowed it down to triathlon for obvious reasons because they all run, bike, and swim, right? But also because they're an incredible demographic. They have money, they spend money. The average triathlon, the average Ironman participant's household income is $247,000 a year. Yeah. They're gear fanatics. They're completely analytical. So any piece of gear that is going to give them an extra 30 seconds in the transition or going to make them more comfortable, they're going to buy. The market's totally growing. 4.6 million people in 2017 will do more than 2 triathlons. And we have this spillover effect, where if we can target the triathletes, we realize we can reach all the runners, cyclists, and swimmers who consider themselves more of a runner, and they swim and ride bikes when they can. So the other great thing about it is that there's no product that's really become endemic to their culture. And this is important for triathletes because triathletes want to buy triathlon products. So we shifted gears, and we decided we're going to position ourselves like GOO, Picky Bars, Cliff Bar have done with nutrition. We wanted to apply it to personal care. In short, we wanted to lift the entire category from being an afterthought to being a competitive advantage. We made this shift 18 months ago, and we're growing like a complete weed. It's been a wild ride. We grew 240% in 2015. We had $180,000 in revenue. We're up 132% over this time last year, and our annual, in our 12-month running total is $238,000. So it's a lot of growth for us. And we feel like it's really hitting a nerve. And we're finding that people are easier to reach now. People can find their tribe. And we can directly target triathletes with social media. We have very influential, fantastic ambassadors, a lot of them here who are from Bend and who are probably in this room. So we're finding that it's really easy to connect with this community and become an endemic brand. It's been a lot of fun. So our ask really tonight is we need help with anybody who has experience scaling a personal care brand, or actually any a personal goods brand with actual tangible products. And one thing we need help with is our systems. We've hand-built our systems by ourselves, and we need a professional to look under the hood and make sure it's not going to start smoking and explode when we start to scale even more. And also on the financial side, we're pouring all of our working capital back into purchasing inventory. So obviously, the folks who sponsored the great event tonight, we'd love to talk to you about additional lines of credit. So, but yeah, thank you so much. If you have any questions, real quick, the call to action for you guys, I shamelessly tried to bribe the OOA people by giving them samples for the vote last time. We don't have samples tonight, but we do have a discount code for you guys. It's 25% off teamzealios.com. And the discount code is Pubtalk16. So go ahead, load up on your sunscreen for the summer, and thanks a lot.
So we have a few minutes for questions. Yeah. So questions for Austin? Yes. Does it dry your skin out at all?
The sunscreen? No, not at all. It's got a lot of great skin conditioners in it that really help it feels like a lotion. It really does act like a lotion, so you can use it as a daily moisturizer on your face. Yeah.
Yes. Are you using any nanotechnology to make it? No.
No.
No. We have one here, and then I'll take over there. Yeah? What's the price point on the sunscreen, and how safe is it for kids?
The price point right now is $14.95 for 3 ounces. So for zinc-based sunscreen, it's actually quite reasonable. That's one of the reasons a lot of the big companies don't use zinc, is because it's It's expensive. It's really safe for children. You can use it on infants. It's really gentle.
Question from the other room?
Hi, Julie. This is Rita. I'm curious as to where Austin is manufacturing his products.
Okay, so where are you manufacturing your products?
The sunscreen is manufactured in Fort Worth, Texas, at an FDA lab down there, and then all the other products are manufactured in Hayward, California. So everything's actually made in the U.S.
Any thought of manufacturing it here?
What's that?
Any thought of manufacturing it here?
It's difficult because we are tied to these labs for the manufacturing side. There is, we need an FDA lab in Bend in order to do it, but we do have one over near Portland that we are eyeing for some other products.
Great. Yes, Janet.
What's the difference between zinc oxide and titanium
Dioxide?
What's the difference between zinc oxide and titanium dioxide?
So they're both what are called physical blocks, where they sit on top of your skin and prevent, the actual sun radiation from hitting them. Zinc just blocks a broader spectrum. So titanium is actually a great product, but it doesn't block the 98% that zinc does.
Will this do anything for fine lines and wrinkles? I see. Anyone else? Questions? Yes.
I was just wondering, do you have a satisfaction guarantee?
Do you have a satisfaction guarantee?
With that code, absolutely. I mean, we have never. This is how we've grown the business, is word of mouth. We've never had a single person come back and say, I didn't like this. Yeah, it's an incredible product. It really is.
Yeah. Yes, in the back. Where's your retail outlet, and do you have any connections with local dermatologists?
I'm actually really glad you said that. We actually are just into BMC. So Dr. Wisco over there and their team have brought our products in as a reasonable local solution for you to purchase the sunscreen at the clinic there.
Is there a place people can buy it locally in the store?
BMC is the only place they can buy locally. Now online, we're kind of pushing into retail as we get up here. We did actually pick up some huge retailers in the Bay Area just because that's where we started. But yeah, we're working on retail here.
Good. Great. Thank you so much, Austin.
We have a question from the Rambler Room.
Oh, we have one more question from the sky.
Yes, could you?
Hi, I'd like to know if it discolors your clothing.
Does it discolor your clothing?
No, yeah, I think a lot of people have a problem with it turning your clothing yellow, I think is what some sunscreens will do. And no, we've never had a problem with that. It'll wash out with soap and water.
Great. Is there anything else you want to say in closing?
I don't think so.
Okay, good job, Austin. Thank you. From humble beginnings selling tubes of sunscreen to 12-year-old synchronized swimmers. That's good. I like that. Okay, I'd like to introduce a quick update now from CrowdStreet to hear what's happening in their real estate realm. Please welcome CrowdStreet co-founder and VP of Business Development, Darren Powderly. Darren.
Thank you, Julie. It's really fun to be up here tonight, folks. As Julie said, my name is Darren Powderly. And I moved to Bend in 2003 with my wife, Michael, who's in the back. And since that time, we've started a family, and we have 2 little kids. And I joined Compass Commercial back in 2003. So I spent 12 years working in the local commercial real estate industry. So many of you in the room I know from that experience. And it was a great career. Compass Commercial is a fantastic company. And many of my friends are, still doing very well there. And that experience, really led me to continue to work with entrepreneurs and small companies here in Central Oregon. In the last 13 years, we've seen just this huge growth in our economy, and it was really fun to be a part of. I've been to countless pub talks. I was an EDCO board member for about 5 or 6 years, so I know the EDCO team really, really well. And all this experience with local businesses really sort of kept the fire alive inside of me of wanting to do something special, want to do something different, want to do something on more of a national scale. I grew up back east. I spent some time in Colorado and California prior to moving to Bend. So the downturn crushed Central Oregon, for those of you who are here, especially in the real estate sector. So, the creative juices were flowing really more rapidly at a higher pace. And so a bunch of new business ideas were going through my brain. I was working with many of you in the audience, and many of my clients are here in the audience. And so out of that became like number of business ideas, right? Just kept on trying to find like what would be something bigger, sort of bigger on scale, more national. I tapped into all of the smart, resources that are here in Central Oregon, this great ecosystem of startups. And the Jobs Act of 2012 sort of sparked that idea for me, and it was commercial real estate crowdfunding. So for those of you not familiar with the piece of federal legislation in 2012 that was put in place by the U.S. government to help stimulate capital flow to startups, which is near and dear to this audience's heart, we applied this idea of online capital formation to create a marketplace to invest in, at that time, the vision was startups, right? So crowdfunding, everyone knows what crowdfunding is today, and the vision got started to help startups, get more capital as the banks were seized up at that point in time, and it works really well. So we started working on literally the light bulb went off on top of my head, and I just said let's do this. And this was April 2012, and still working full time at Compass and enjoying my time there, but decided to dedicate nights and weekends to CrowdStreet, what would become CrowdStreet. And right here in Bend, amongst all of you, we started a company that has since grown into the #1 commercial real estate crowdfunding platform in the country. We have competitors, but we have differentiated ourselves quite substantially, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But I want to use this just brief update as a way to just sort of encourage the speakers here tonight and all you entrepreneurs out in the audience if wondering whether or not you can do it. I mean, the answer is you can absolutely do it, but you do have to be brave, and you do have to sort of accept the hardships that come along with with starting a company. You have to sort of jump off the ledge and surround yourself with the loving family that you have and a lot of your friends, and you just have to dedicate yourself and believe in yourself that you can do it, and surround yourself with extremely smart people. So CrowdStreet is a commercial real estate crowdfunding site. And so what does that mean? That means that we allow each and every one of you to build a real estate portfolio that is diversified across the United States by co-investing with professional real estate investment firms. So you can put in $10,000 in 10 deals if you have $100,000 and build yourself a really diversified portfolio that has different income streams from different markets across the country. It's really a simple way to reach out and sort of build a diversified real estate portfolio in a very modern way, all online. So with that, I mean, that's the sort of high-level pitch about what CrowdStreet does. We also have a software as a service element. The thing that I will tell you in the next minute that I have available is that we've been quite successful, and I'm extremely grateful for it. So hired a CEO. We're based in Portland. We have an office in Bend. We have 14 people. We raised a $1.3 million seed round through this community here in Central Oregon. We went through Founders Pad. We worked with EDCO. We grew the company. We brought on customers. We did the lean startup thing. We did the startup owner's manual thing. We kept asking the questions from our customers. What do you want? Where can we solve problems? We kept closing deals. We went out to Silicon Valley venture firms just late last year. We raised $3.5 million from a company called Rally Ventures, and we're now national in scope, venture funded, on our way to becoming a $100 million company. We're on track right now to do $3 million excuse me, this year, and we all started right here in Bend. So awesome experience. Thank you all for your support, and it can definitely be done. And that's it. Oh, I've got to ask one thing, right? My ask is that crowdstreet.com is the place that you can go on your smartphone or your computer and register, please. That's what is the lifeblood of our business, working with individual investors like every single one of you. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Darren.